Hi. So as I'm preparing my masterclass, I'm getting together a online masterclass, and I'm putting all the components together, and it's for my Funk to Fabulous masterclass. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be free, and if you'd like more details, then just I'm going to put a link in the comment, and of course, if you can't see the link, then just message me, and I would love to tell you more about it. So as I've been getting it all together and looking at all the different components that are coming together, one thing I realised that in my journey through personal development and using empowerment tools to help people go where they want to go faster than they could on their own. What I realize I'm more of a guide. You know, there's a lot of talk about, are you a coach? Are you a mentor? Yes, I'm all those things, and I'm more like a guide. You tell me where you want to go, and I will help you pick out your fastest route, your easiest route, the way that's going to work best for you to get there, in all the plethora of tools and resources that I have available to me and that you have available to you. So a lot of people don't know that my parents, many years ago, what their career was they were London guides. So they would be the people at the front of the coaches with the microphone, telling the tourists who come to London to explore London, talking them through the buildings that they were passing in the coach, and then they would stop off, everyone would get out, and they would walk round places like Hampton Court or St Paul's Cathedral, and my parents would be the tourist's guide. And this was way before you had audio recordings telling you where to go and what to do. It was very much, in those days, you might get a pamphlet and it might have a few pointers where you could go to. But what my parents would do was they would have a plethora of information that they could share. So they would know who the architect was, they would know the dates, they would know the struggles, they would have jokes around it, they would know which members of which royal families had stayed there or had visited there or were buried there, Westminster Abbey, or had got married there, and the dates and the information and a lovely little nuggets of stuff that you can't find in your average guidebook. And this, of course, was like way before the internet, where you could just Google something and you get all kinds of information would instantly be available to you. So people who booked on a guided tour of London were people who wanted to have an insider's view, to have fuller information about, they weren't just interested in just like wandering around and looking around at the pretty buildings and not really knowing what they're looking at, or maybe if they had something specific they wanted to find out about, so like a particular, there were all kinds of fabulous nooks and crannies throughout London that my parents used to take their tours on with lots of inside information. Like I remember, I went on a lot of their tours as a little one, as a youngster. They used to be allowed to take one child with them sometimes. And so I would go on the tours with them. Me and my sisters would take turns. And one of the places that I used to love going to on their tours was the place where the bakery initially stood. That's where the Great Fire of London started. they'd take all this, a group of tourists to the place where the bakery where the Great Fire of London had started, and they tell the whole story about how the Great Fire of London started and how this little bakery had been the cause of like wiping out all the buildings in London, and because a lot of the buildings at that time were made of wood, and the bridges, London Bridge was made of wood, and how it, the Great Fire of London had just decimated London, and it had all started in one bakery. And so it was little insider information, and that would take ages for people to find out on their own. And so my parents were the guide who would show people where to find the good stuff, and people could ask questions as they went along if there was things that they were particularly interested in. Like I remember Hampton Court was where Henry VIII. I loved the story. I loved Hampton Court and the story of Henry VIII and his 8 wives, and so someone might have a question about Catherine of Aragon, and the dates that she married Henry VIII. Or whatever, and my parents would be able to answer that question, and even give a little anecdote or a little story, maybe show them their particular bedroom where that queen had stayed, or the Tower of London where that queen had her head chopped off, or all those little interesting, the things that the tourists were interested in. My parents were the guides that would take them there and show them it and get them there faster and with more fun and more interest, and have a deeper, more enriched experience of London because of it. And I realised, that's a lot of what I do with my work. I'm more of a guide. Yes, I'm a coach. Yes, I'm a mentor. Yes, I have a huge amount of resources and personal development tools and ways of helping people move from feeling really stuck and not knowing where to go, feeling overwhelmed, feeling in a complete funk and feeling really stuck in life, to opening up amazing possibilities and feeling a core certainty, feeling strength in themselves, feeling they can trust themselves again. And, so I guide people through their journey of where they want to go and how they want to get there, and how to get there faster with more ease and more fun and more playfulness and more joy. Whatever it is that they're looking for along their journey, I have the tools that can assist them in the most dynamic ways. So I just thought I'd come on and share that with you, because I love that analogy of, my parents showing people around the Tower of London and the sights of London and the streets of London, and having all the fantastic stories. One of my mum's favourite tours was, she loved Dickens and the story of Oliver. And one of her favourite tours was a walking tour that she did, where she would do walk around the streets that were in the Charles Dickens story, Oliver, and she would take the tourists to the steps where Nancy, one of the characters in Oliver, had been murdered, and and all the different the intrigue, and so that was one of her favourite tours, that taking tourists around. And in personal development, I have my favourite tools that I love to use, and that are my go-to tools, which are can be really fast and supportive for so many people, to help them get out of feeling stuck, get them out of overwhelm, and open up to possibilities and feeling great in themselves and feeling fabulous again. And there's also the other ones which are more specific to individuals and individual situations. It's like, let's use this tool. So I just love noticing that, you know, that's what my parents used to do, guided tours of London, and now I do guided tours of personal development journeys for people who are willing and ready to go there. So that's just, I wanted to share that with you. And if you'd like to join my free masterclass, then I'll put the link to the quiz, which is like the intro into it, in the comments. And if you've got any questions, I would love them. Pop them in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.